TalkTainmentRadio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, 3MR Production, its ownership, management, or staff.
We've got the power.
This is All in Our Family. I'm S. Yolanda Robinson. We are all family. All in Our Family, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard. TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. And you're in touch with All in Our Family. And I'm S. Yolanda Robinson. And this is radio, the way it should be heard. Addiction. I mean, we've had there's all kinds of addiction. There's alcohol, drugs, gambling, shopping, all kinds of addiction. But today we're going to talk about alcohol. And we have some people on that are willing to share their story, talking about how they went through recovery and what kind of how their life has changed. And on All in Our Family, you know, we want to strengthen our families. And this is one of the subjects I know that every family has gone through this with one of their family members. I have it in my family, and I'm pretty sure some of you have had some of it in your family. And we're going to talk about it, and they're going to share with us some ways that we can strengthen our families. And so on our show today, we have Nelson Trout, who is the author of Blood in the Ceiling. Now, this book, I'm telling you, he has a daily log on when he went through recovery, some of the challenges and some of the things that people were going through. And it's a real eye-opener. I think that everybody should get a copy of this book. It's really good. It's easy reading. And so he's going to share with us some of the things that he wrote about in the book. We have Mike Conway. He is a member of AAA, and Steve. And they're going to share with us some of their stories. So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm saying good afternoon.
Hello.
Nelson, is that you on the line?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Yolanda. I want to thank you for having me on. And the title of the book is Blood on the Ceiling, not Blood.
Okay, that's what I thought. Blood on the Ceiling. What did I say? Did I say on the ceiling?
You said in.
Okay, on the ceiling. Okay, blood on the ceiling. Okay, I got the in mixed up with the on. Okay, yes, and it is a real good book. Nelson, could you give us a little bit of background on you, and why did you write Blood on the Ceiling?
Gladly, Yolanda, and I want to thank you once again for having me on. Very, very important subject, and it's an epidemic in this country.
Yes.
Well, my personal background is I was a regular family man, and for many, many years, and then I was also a professional musician and songwriter, and also a novelist. And I got addicted to, I got addicted to alcohol, and I actually got addicted to painkillers also, but we're talking about alcohol today. Mm-hmm. And it's a progressive disease. It gets worse and worse and worse. It was like, no matter where I went, or no matter where my wife and I went, or my family, I always wanted to know where either brought beer with me or knew where I could get beer. And I just wanted that little edge off of reality, and I found that through alcohol. And later on, we'll probably get into the reasoning behind that. A lot of it you'll find in many alcoholics starts in childhood. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I was a songwriter and a novelist. And when I found out that I was trying to quit drinking on my own, and I found out that I really could not do it. I admitted myself to a rehab facility. Luckily, at that time, my insurance paid for it. And being a writer, as soon as I walked in the door of the first rehab I was in for the first time, I knew right away that I had to take notes, not for my own personal recovery. That way, I would have notes to refer to when I got out of rehab. You know, for strength and inspiration when those weak moments came. And so I started writing it as a diary, Blood on the Ceiling, and then it became a book. And it was so interesting. The people that read it, including some of my counselors, said, "Nelson, you're going to have to try to get this book published." And luckily, there's several publishers that I didn't have one rejection on this book, which is highly unusual. And I went with my publisher in Hawaii, Janet Fisher of Goodnight Kiss Publications, and the book became published, and it's in paperback, it's on ebook, audio book, and it's just been helping so many people, and I've done so many interviews, and I just feel good about it because I know the book has helped a lot of people get more of an insight into alcoholism and also to get into rehab for help because you sometimes feel hopeless when you're an alcoholic. You drink even when you don't want to. You drink against your will, and therefore that's why I believe that alcoholism is a disease. And one of the founders of one of the people in the very beginning in 1935 that founded AA, a friend of Bill Wilson and Dr. Robert W. Smith, who founded AA, had contacted a doctor, Dr. William Silkworth, who was one of the few at the time that believed alcoholism was a disease and could be cured. And so these two fellows, Bill Wilson and Dr. Robert Smith, came up with AA, which is a simple program. They were both alcoholics also. And they came up with a simple plan. It's in the Big Book, which is anybody who's ever dealt with alcoholism knows what the Big Book is. It's like the Bible of Alcoholics Anonymous. And the plan, if you stick to the plan and you stick to the Big Book and what these fellows wrote, it can be cured. It can be cured, but one thing is, don't pick up that first one after you're off.
Okay.
That's the key. That's the key.
That is good. Now, we're going to take a break for a minute, and we're going to come back and ask the rest of our guests about their background. But TalkTainmentRadio.com radio host Kahari Inohara has added to his workload show host Kahari Free at Last on the WOW TV network. Bounce TV broadcasts nationwide Saturday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So all of you who have Bounce TV, be sure to tune in to Kahari Inohara Free at Last. Steve, could you give us a background about you and how you got to recovery?
Sure, Yolanda. I was born here in Columbus, born and raised in Columbus, in the Short North area. And back then, it certainly isn't what it's like today. You can believe that. But I was unruly. I was incorrigible, and I ran with a lot of bad people. And I started drinking to fit in with the crowd. You know, drinking made you feel like you were a part of something. And it just escalated throughout my life. And I was a lot like Norman. I tried to quit on my own, and it was to no avail whatsoever. And I just went round in circles trying to quit, and knowing that I couldn't do it, a friend that I worked with referred me to a rehab center that he went to here in Columbus. And I went there, and it saved my life. I mean, it literally saved my life. I was real close to being dead.
Oh, that's good. Now, Mike, how did you get involved with AA?
Well, my particular situation is, I was raised in alcoholism, so drinking alcohol and all the things that come with the disease, I understood from a very early beginning, and I was one of those people that said, it's never going to happen to me, I'm not going to be like my father. Of course, I ended up just exactly like those things, and my situation is I drank, and I mostly drank because it was my kind of, at the time, it was fun and it fit in, and you're adults and you party and things like that. But more and more it became my medication against reality. I don't know. For me, things were always frightening. I didn't feel like I fit in. Oftentimes I felt very awkward in social situations. I was afraid of conflict and fear, so I wasn't okay at baseline. And when I had a few drinks in me, it seemed like, whether it was true or not, it seemed like I could go along with things and get along. It was my survival.
Did it seem like everybody accepted you more when you were drinking?
I think that's like the deal in a fishbowl. Of course, the people I associated with were people that drank and liked to party, and so I fit in on that situation. But what happened with me is progressively as I continued the drinking and the social thing that comes with drinking, I started to draw out of other things. So I was like the guy that would go to the places where beer was going to be served. I like to play softball because we went to have a couple pitchers afterward. And so religious things, social things went to the side because they didn't have any alcohol.
Now, when did you realize you had an addiction? Because a lot of times people say, well, I'm going to just drink after work. I mean, let's go to the neighborhood club or downtown. They have happy hour, and that's a nice place to socialize. I'm not an addiction. I don't believe have an addiction. But how do you know that you have an addiction?
Well, and the thing about it is with the drinking, my situation is it became progressive. I needed that medication against reality more and more, and the nature of addiction is you need to use more often, that thing called tolerance in us that I have to use more and more often to get to the same place of being okay. So oftentimes, it would start out as a social situation, fine, and as the other people, my friends or the people that I associate with, would go home, it was time for dinner, they had to take the kids to soccer or what have you, I stayed. And one of the reasons that I started to have a problem was the progression. I needed to drink more often. But the thing that really gave me the message, and that was what was important that I understood, was loss of control. And it was that situation where it's involuntary. I'm drinking and I'm not having any fun. I'm drinking the medication, the alcohol is not working anymore. I'm drinking and I don't want to. I'm drinking despite horrible consequences. So I know I got a problem, but now I'm running scared, and I'm not really sure what to do about it.
So people feel, Steve, that they're self-medicating when they're drinking. That it's like a release from all the problems that may be going on.
That's absolutely right, Yolanda. The consumption of alcohol is just a symptom of underlying problems that we have. And we have a lot of hurts and pains that a lot of time we're not even aware of. And when we drink, we self-medicate ourselves so those hurts and pains aren't as obvious, and it helps us cope, and it helps us just to get along with our daily lives.
Now, Mike, you said something about being accepted. With people, that people really, you just felt like people didn't accept you before you, unless you drank. Some of the people that you were running around with. Right.
The people that I drank with, of course, birds of a feather. They drank like me, and of course, there's no problem with that. Because if I have a problem, they may have a problem. That's not going to happen. But the thing about the acceptance was from my environment, from my upbringing, I didn't feel worthwhile. I didn't feel valuable. I felt awkward, misplaced. The whole thing with children should be seen and not heard, and those messages. And also, being raised in alcoholism, I was early on really quickly to understand what real fear was. I don't mean I don't mean Freddy Krueger. I don't mean Halloween. I mean, will we have enough to eat? Will we have to move in the middle of the night? And the violence that's going on downstairs where I'm a little boy upstairs, trying to sleep. So those kind of things.
What can a community, I mean, it sounds like it's a lot of hurt that people are going through. What can a community do, Steve, and then I'm going to ask Nelson, what can a community do to support people that may feel like they're hurt?
Well, I tell you, I think one of the biggest things that the community can do is we have a lack of treatment and detox centers for people who don't have insurance and can't afford it. And that's a real shame because those people a lot of people need to be medically detoxed because they're in physically it can be very dangerous. And a lot of those people just don't have the means to go to treatment or to go to detox. And
is it very expensive to go?
Yes, it is. It is. It's very expensive.
So
yes.
even if you want to go, and
Right.
if you don't have the money, you probably couldn't go through a detox program.
That's correct. But there is like Mary Haven here.
Yeah.
But they can only take so many people. They've only got so much room, and they can't take everybody. So I think we need to make detox and treatment more available for people who don't have access for it as far as the financial responsibilities go. And another thing, I think that the community needs to realize that alcoholism is a disease, just like any other disease, just like cancer or diabetes. And the AMA declared alcoholism a disease in 1955, and I think there's a stigma with alcoholics that we are morally corrupt people who are doing this willingly, and we don't have any regard for ourselves or our family, and that's just not the case. We have a saying in AA where we're not bad people trying to get good, we're just sick people trying to get better.
Yeah, and you can tell that in Nelson's book. Some of the stories of the life that some of the people had that were in recovery and the pain that they were going through. That comes out a lot in your book, Nelson. But you also talk about a pain box. Now, I don't think when people are in recovery, there is a pain box that you talked about in your book. Could you explain what it is and why it's called the pain box?
Okay, Yolanda. When at the rehab I was in Florida, every single evening, everybody had an opportunity to use a cell phone to call home or whatever for 15 minutes. And just about every time somebody got off the phone, they were, instead of smiling and being happy, they were crying. So we referred to the telephone as the pain box. That's how that came about.
Well, why were they crying? It's
well, because a lot of times they weren't getting the proper kind of support and language they should be getting on the other end of the phone from family members and friends. I won't say everybody was crying, but a good 50% were. So I remember we were calling the telephone the pain box. And
well, what could the family, if you have a family member that's in recovery and you're talking to them, and what kind of language should you be saying to them when you're talking to them that isn't painful? Because you don't want to call them and make matters worse.
No, really what you'd really like to hear on the other end of the line is encouragement. I love you. I'll be waiting for you. You're strong. You're going to beat this disease, and just because you're there, I'm proud of you. These types of things, and a lot of people, including myself at the time, we weren't getting that kind of response. So I personally quit using the phone. I didn't use the phone at all for a couple months because to me it was a pain box. It was a hurt.
But
Every single time. And,
Stay right there, Nelson. We're going to talk more about that pain box and things that we can say coming up next on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio and the home of Brother K, educating to liberate on Conversate in the AM, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Stay right there. We're going to talk about the road to recovery, the pain box, and much more on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
The hardest thing to do at times is to make changes in your routine. Don't let that hold you back.
Oh, wait a minute. They told us we had it all sorted. Well, yeah, I guess in a way we are running out of oil.
Your opportunity is now to get up-to-the-minute information, great entertainment, and stimulating talk programs on your computer. Just log on to TalkTainmentRadio.com, click Listen Live to hear a program. TalkTainmentRadio.com can also be heard on your cell phone. Talktainment Radio. We go where you go.
Look out, automobiles. Here we come. Now that's radio. The world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard.
This year, the 9th annual African American Male Wellness Walks will be held in Dayton, Toledo, and in Youngstown, Warren. Please visit our website at www.aawalk.org for updates on wellness walks around Ohio. The City of Columbus will hold its 9th annual African American Male Wellness Walk on Saturday, August 10th, 2013 at Livingston Park.
Attending career fairs is a great way to find job leads. You can meet potential employers and ask questions about their company. Just try not to get distracted by all the freebies. Keep your eyes on the real prize, and you might get a few interviews.
Did you know that people born from 1945 through 1965 have the highest rates of hepatitis C, but most don't know they're infected? People can live for decades without symptoms, but over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems. If you were born during these years, the CDC now recommends that you get a blood test for hepatitis C, so talk to your doctor and find out if you have hepatitis C. It could save your life. No more.
Welcome to today's lottery drawing. And today's winning numbers are not yours, not yours, and another number that's not yours. And the final number is not yours.
When it comes to having money, don't rely on luck. Brew your own coffee at home instead of buying that latte. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering it. Go to feedthepig.org for more free ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
We're cracking down on Medicare fraud.
The health care law gives us powerful tools to fight it,
to investigate it,
prosecute it,
and stop criminals.
Our senior Medicare Patrol volunteers
are teaching seniors across the country
to stop, spot, and report fraud.
You can help.
Guard your Medicare card.
Don't give out your card number over the phone.
Call to report any suspected fraud.
We're cracking down on Medicare fraud.
Let's make Medicare stronger for all of us.
Saving energy saves you money. Whether you switch to Energy Star light bulbs, install Energy Star appliances, or add extra insulation. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Hey, can I tell you something?
Sure, what is it?
I want to tell you about someone being cyberbullied.
What is cyberbullying?
Cyberbullying is when someone is being bullied over the internet and this person can't take it and is thinking about suicide.
Have you told someone?
No, I haven't told anyone but you. It's not my business, is it?
Yes, it is. Tiberius says it's okay to tell the proper authorities. You must tell.
You're right. It is okay to tell, and I might even be able to save her life.
Good, because if you don't tell, I will, because cyberbullying is abuse.
Thanks. I'm going to tell now.
We've got the power.
TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio, and this is All in Our Family, and I'm S. Yolanda Robinson. The road to recovery. We're talking about alcoholism and what its effect is on our families, on how the community can support people that are going through recovery. We have on our program Nelson Trout, who wrote the book Blood on the Ceiling, and we have Steve, and we also have Mike, who are members members of AAA, and they are doing their best to help people understand what alcoholism is and what people are going through. Now, Nelson, we were talking about the pain box and some of the things that the community can do to support a person. I don't think people know that they should be saying more love. I think they may be frustrated themselves and are saying, maybe I'm wrong, but they're frustrated too because it might not be happening quick enough and they're saying the wrong thing. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that in your book and some of the things that people can do to support a person who has taken that step to go through recovery.
Well, yes, Yolanda. Mike, it was either Mike or Steve made a great point about, sometimes going cold turkey, quitting alcohol can be dangerous to your health. It can kill you, actually.
Oh.
And I believe there should be more free detox centers. I think there should be more rehabs. Now, getting back to the cost of rehabs are extremely expensive, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But the way to get into a rehab, if you really need to, and you do not have insurance or thousands upon thousands of dollars, are through the state-run facilities, the state-run rehabs. And I for our listeners out there that might need some help, I have two numbers here two phone numbers I'd like to give real quick.
Okay, great.
They can help them. The first number is which is in the book, is the National Substance Abuse Hotline. Mm-hmm. The number is 1-800-662-4357. Another number is 1-866-920-1212. So if anybody didn't get those numbers or anything, I guess you can call Yolanda or something like that. And there are state-run facilities for people who are down on their luck and have no money. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things that Steve and Mike have been saying are so right on. And I want to thank you guys for being so involved in AA. I'm an AA member in my local, here in New Jersey, but I also was in Florida. But I really didn't take a leadership role like you guys seem to have. And I just want to thank you because AA is a wonderful, wonderful thing. If you follow the steps and the traditions of AA, we don't have time to get into that now. Mm-hmm. But you can be cured of this disease of alcoholism, and it most certainly is a disease, in my opinion. And I've done, I think I had enough knowledge to know that, just like Steve and Mike do.
Okay.
And when you get into a rehab center, these people are so caring and so nice. A lot of them are ex-alcoholics themselves, so they have a wonderful understanding of what is needed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, spirituality plays a big part in it. It did for me. Mm-hmm. It helped me greatly. Mm-hmm. And so I think the community, in short, can actually be more cognizant and more aware of the problem of alcoholism and try to get more help out there for people that, especially those who can't afford it, afford big bills and things like this. Mm-hmm. And so the state facilities are the ones, and those two phone numbers I just gave you
that they can call
will help you on your way to find a place.
Okay. Now, when we were in the break and we weren't recording, Mike, you said something about even if you don't have support from your family, you can still kick it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Support, no matter what. If you're going through things, interpersonal support from your family is a very valuable thing, no matter what, especially if it's a chronic, disease. But we can get sober. Oftentimes we do have to get sober alone. Something that Nelson was alluding to with the pain box, the information was coming back across that that was not so much fun. There's a lot of shame with regards to this, and our families don't understand. They aren't educated on this, and a lot of times it's throwbacks to the old times where you're just morally bad or irresponsible or stuff like that. So you can recover. You can go to treatment. You can follow up with AA. You can do what you need to do. Now, I would just tell you, it's much more difficult, but there's a whole lot of folks that don't have that family support, and they're not going to get it no matter what and no matter how long. Oftentimes, it takes a long time in recovery before our own families start to trust us and see us differently. And then, of course, some things can happen. Some things, as far as the background environmental stuff, is never going to change. We change. We don't expect others to change. But then some things can happen. And remembering too that and this really is an important point. I think alcoholism is a family disease, and that means everybody gets sick, not just the person that's afflicted. And when they start to get education and support for themselves, the whole family can heal. And that's extremely important, that families get well together. One of the sayings in Al-Anon is, you can see what the drinking is doing to your loved one, but can you see what it's done to you? And oftentimes, folks don't.
For those are the people that don't know what Al-Anon is, would you explain what Al-Anon is?
Yeah. Al-Anon's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing, based on the same spiritual concept and 12 steps as AA is, but it's for family members and friends whose loved ones are alcoholic. They've been affected by the drinking and the behavior of a loved one. And, of course, when we're talking about affected, we're not talking positively at that point. Also, there's one thing that might bear to mind, too. It is said conservatively that one alcoholic affects at least a minimum of 100 other people during their drinking careers. I think it's probably greater than that, but if 15% of our population is alcoholic, times 100 people running around out there, just about everybody's been affected by this disease, whether they know that or like that or not. Yeah.
Now, Steve, how important is your spirituality and going through recovery?
Yolanda, spirituality is it's the keystone to the program. It's absolutely essential. When our co-founder, Bill W., was in his last rehab, he had a spiritual experience that he outlines in the big book pretty explicitly. And after that, he discovered that by becoming spiritual and relying upon God and helping other people recover was the only way that he could stay sober. Helping other people and then staying close to God as he understands God was really the key to the AA success in the early days.
I understand that you're sponsoring people. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
What do you do as a sponsor?
He's my sponsor, by
He's
the
your
way.
sponsor.
Yeah. I don't know if that's too much information or not.
But you do. What does a sponsor do?
Well, typically, for folks out there to quickly understand it, it's a teacher or a mentor. It's someone who's been doing the process of recovery for a period of time, who has received some benefit and changes from working our program, who is willing to take the time to support and direct another person that's willing to get well. And it's also part of our program and our direction that we need to help others. And it's a real important thing to us. And I've heard it said, and I believe it's true, when you help someone with this deal, both receive, not just one. The giver receives too.
Yes, that's so wonderful. That is really wonderful. Now, I'm going to ask Steve, because you were talking about, I was going to ask Nelson, but you were talking about we don't have enough facilities. Has our system failed us?
I believe so, absolutely. I believe that there's still a stigma with alcoholism like there was back in the 30s and 40s when AA first started. I think a lot of people still see this disease as something that people do willingly. They do it on purpose. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about their family. They don't care about their jobs. They're just morally corrupt, and they choose to be that way. And that's a shame, because that's not true.
Well, what can as a community, I mean, I go back to this question again. What can we do? What kind of things can we do?
Well, I believe that we have to raise awareness that it is a problem that we have to deal with. I think awareness has to be raised, as Mike said, that there's a lot of people affected by this disease and they don't even know it. And I tell you, if you could step back and you could see the miracle, see somebody transformed. I mean, we have seen people literally scraped up off the sidewalk, go to detox, come to AA, and get well, and they just transform before your very eyes into something that you would have never dreamed. And that's the best part about AA, when you get to see that, and when people realize that things as strong as that are happening to people. I think they want that to happen. More. They'll take charge about doing something about it.
Because you're giving out love and you're supporting people, and that is a good thing. How has your life changed? I mean, since you've gone through recovery, has it?
Well, we've got a time limit here, right?
Yeah, but just give me some of the things that we do, but just some of the things that has changed.
Okay, well, my life has changed 100%. It's just unbelievable. I was estranged from my daughter. My relationship with my daughter has gotten much stronger. My self-esteem and my self-confidence has just gone through the roof. Helping other alcoholics is... the rewards that you get from helping people are just, it's through the roof. It's just something that, that you just need to experience to really understand it. My health is better. And I just have better relationships with everybody in my working life and in my personal life and with everybody in AA, and learning to live on a spiritual basis where I don't have to worry about me. I can get out of the way and let God do the work, and then I'm just along for the ride.
That is so wonderful. I mean, at first you were talking about you thinking that you're not accepted, and here you go through recovery and you get more love.
Amazing.
I mean, you get lots of love.
Yes, you do.
We're gonna take a break for a few minutes and talk. You're listening to Talktainment Radio. That's our address. Listen live and participate on. We broadcast locally, worldwide, around the clock. Check out our blogs and podcasts. We go where you go, and download TalktainmentRadio.com the way it's ready on your cell or on your tablet, because this is radio the way it should be heard. So you stay right there, everybody, and we're going to talk more about the road to recovery and on alcoholism with Nelson Conway and Steve coming up next.
At TalktainmentRadio.com, we don't just talk, we don't just entertain. We've combined talk radio with the latest in online entertainment, with the ability to listen live at no cost 24/7. We are the premier online radio station. Outperforming the digital quality of our competitors, our shows are produced in a state-of-the-art studio by the best radio professionals in the business. Hosting live shows on location at some of the area's greatest and most popular events, we give you exactly what you want to hear with talk radio that matters to you. Join us online at TalktainmentRadio.com, where you can listen live or play podcasts from the best shows in online talk radio. We give you a reason to come. We give you a reason to stay. TalktainmentRadio.com. Radio the way it should be heard.
TalktainmentRadio.com. Food for thought.
It's important to cultivate and nurture relationships, all relationships, whether they are casual, familial, work-related, or romantic. I am reminded of the quote, "Man cannot live by bread alone." We need companionship, someone with whom to share our hopes, our dreams, and our talents. People come into our lives by choice and by chance. They come to support us, to love us, to encourage us, and in doing so, sometimes they make our lives a little crazy. They get us to question the way we see the world and affirm that what we see is just fine. So let us value the friendships and relationships that we have with others, and let them know how important they are to us. For man cannot live by bread alone. We need others with whom to share that bread.
That's another Food for Thought. To hear additional Food for Thought, stay tuned to TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Did you know that birthday parties help build confidence in kids?
Yeah. Did you know that giving kids less sugar before bedtime helps them sleep better?
Oh, totally. Did you know that friendly kids have more friends?
Everybody knows that.
Hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
I didn't know that.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Do you dance badly or hug in public? That's okay. You don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care would love to put up with you. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit adoptuskids.org for more information. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
Our lives are affected every day by innovations from the minds of African Americans. Support the United Negro College Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Visit uncf.org or call 1-800-332-UNCF. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
We've got the power.
TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio, and this is All in Our Family, and I'm Yolanda Robinson. We were talking about recovering from alcoholism, and we have some of the most wonderful people on our show. I mean, these people are caring. They're giving back. They're helping other people as they go through the road of recovery. We have Nelson Trout, who has written the book Blood on the Ceiling. And we have Steve and Mike, who are members of AAA, and they are helping people. It's amazing some of the things that we have learned today on our show. And I wanted to ask, we were asking, you're talking about, you thought that we needed to have more education in our community, and there's not enough
absolutely
being done for people.
Right, yeah. We as a community, we need to raise the awareness somehow. And I think that's, there has to be like a grassroots crusade started for this, because the politicians need to know how much of a problem this really is. And you have Mad Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and I mean, this would seem like a good answer. I mean, I know that I couldn't imagine going through something like that. But on the other hand, the other person has got a really bad disease. And if they were treated, a lot of that stuff may not have happened, Yolanda.
And it could save families.
Absolutely.
Too. Actually save. Now, Nelson, do you think the system has failed?
I think the system is failing. I mean, there's a lot of good things out there, but as Mike and Steve point out, there could be more. And Yolanda, I getting back to why you asked me why I wrote the book. Basically, after I got 3/4 of the way through it, I knew I wanted to get it out there to help others. And I know we're on a timeline here, so can I? My book has already helped thousands of people, and if I were to pass away today, I would say that was had been God's plan for me all along. So can I let people know where they can get a hold of
Oh,
Blood
yes,
on the
please
Ceiling?
do. How can they get a hold of the book?
Okay. We have a website called bloodontheceiling.com.
Mm-hmm.
But the easiest way, and which most people are doing, they're just going to Amazon.com, typing in Blood on the Ceiling, and that's where the book can be purchased by paperback, on ebook, on actually audio book. And the audio was done by Michael Ray Davis, who's a famous actor. I'm sure you've all seen him 1,000 times as a character actor.
Mm-hmm. That's
that
wonderful.
was just released. And so Amazon.com, and just type in Blood on the Ceiling. And I'm hoping to help a few hundred other people from your radio program.
That is wonderful,
It's
Nelson.
a great feeling. You know, as you know, it's a brutally, and I emphasize brutally honest book. And Mike and Steve, if they read it, they'll see. They'll know exactly what I'm talking about. These guys, these sound like two great guys right here, Mike and Steve. I'm honored to be on the show with them.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that when I was reading the book, that you find that people from all walks of life are in recovery, and I noticed that you gave a lot of kudos to your counselors who were doing a very, very good job while you were there.
Yes, I do. I was very fortunate to have a great personal counselor and therapist in both the rehabs I was in. A wonderful group of people who their hearts are really in the right place. And another thing, talking about family support, and I think Mike or Steve said that you can do it even without family support, and they are true. But I want to emphasize that people once you get into AA, that they become a family to you.
Wow.
You have so much in common, and so there's your family right there. And I'll tell you, in the end, you'll find out who your real friends are if you ever get into any kind of trouble.
That's right.
The people that you used to drink with and hang with, they're not the ones that are going to be at your hospital bedside or wanting to help you. It's going to be your AA family. Am I right, Mike and Steve?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're
Without a
shaking
doubt.
our head.
they were shaking their head when they heard when you were saying that.
And yes, when I was in rehab, I was with some very famous people. Because of the condition.
You can't say who they were, but
no, we don't. We're that's why all the names in my book have been changed.
But the what they were going through hasn't. But that's what it was interesting to say. There was people that were extremely wealthy, and people from all different walks of life that were going to rehab. But
alcoholism. Alcoholism does not discriminate.
It does
not. It does not.
It does not. Not at all. But when you're looking for a rehab center, I mean, if you were looking and if you had the choice of selecting, what would you find as a good rehab center? What would you look for, Nelson?
Well, I must say from personal experience that no matter what quality of rehab that you're in, it's better to be in one than not to be in one.
That's true. Amen.
So don't let that be a barrier.
Amen.
Okay.
Absolutely. And,
okay.
So I don't want to judge them. I just know that the two that I was rehabs that I had the pleasure of being in were just, like I said, wonderful people. They got you started in a great education of the big book, which is our Bible, right, guys?
That's right.
Yes, right.
You got it.
Especially those first 164 pages.
Amen.
But,
Amen.
but if you and I don't go anywhere without my my big book. And it's something you can read over and over and over, just like the real Bible, And so the system is failing. There's a lot of good hearts out there, but there's just not enough. Like Mike or Steve said, public awareness. I would say in the newspapers, a newspaper could take once a week and just take a little section and put down where the AA meetings are in your particular town, and that would be a lifesaver for many people, an absolute lifesaver.
Yes, it would.
And it's programs like this that we're doing today. that help, and thankfully my book is helping. I'm so, of everything I've ever written in my life, I think this is the most important book. It's easy to read. The letters are big. It's hard and to the point. And it's got to be.
It's got excitement in it, and then you don't want to put it down.
Well, that's how it had to be written in order for me to get it published. I believed.
Yeah.
Because if I wasn't honest, what's the point in publishing a book anyway?
Yes, and it definitely will help a lot of people, and I'm glad that you did it. And he was talking about a schedule, Steve. How accessible is AA to for people if they wanted to go to a meeting? Is it very accessible?
Yolanda, it's very accessible. They are on they're on the internet, and all regional offices have their meeting schedule on the internet. There are lots of phone numbers. They're in all of the phone books in all of the major cities. And one good thing about it is the person who answers that other end of the phone, they want to help. That's why they're there. They're there to help, and they're going to do what they need to do to get you help at that particular time. So AA is very accessible, very much so.
Mike, what would you what kind of advice would you tell somebody that's struggling to it right now and trying to make that decision? What kind of advice would you give?
Well, I think it's exactly what we've been talking about, and Nelson was talking about too, and that is get some help. Get some help. Yeah. The thing about it is there's never been a disease that people have believed part of the treatment is to punish the people that have it. That's kind of Dark Ages stuff, and that's what we have to get to the mentality to now.
That's a great point.
Thank you, and get help. That's the thing. I've heard this bottom thing, and I'd like to put this to rest because I think it's really a grave disservice to us. Oftentimes people say you got to hit rock bottom, which means you got to go to penitentiary, you got to lose your kids, you got to cut off your legs and all that stuff. You tell them that's the most insane thing you can do to a person. I'll tell you what I believe a bottom is. A bottom is where a person gets to, and for their own reasons, they choose to listen to suggestions and follow directions of the people that can most help them. And you know what? I think Nelson's nailed that. I'm going to go home and get his book. I hope everybody else does, because we're talking about education here and getting help. And that's where it starts. There's got to be an entry point where we start and we say, I can't do this by myself. I've got to have help. And it's a fatal progressive disease. I mean, we cannot treat ourselves.
What advice would you give to
Well, I would pretty much the same thing Mike said, but Nelson pointed out something that I found very interesting, that alcoholism does not discriminate. And there's a little anecdote in the big book, a little story that Bill wrote. He says we're like passengers on a great ship, a big liner, and it's going down. And we're in a lifeboat trying to save ourselves. And we've got rich people, we got poor people, we got white people, we got black people, we got men, women, children. And it doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, how much money you have. All that matters is you are together and you're trying to save your life. And that's really what it is like in AA.
What advice would you give to the young people, Nelson?
Well, to the young people, I would say, don't try to use alcohol to fit in. Mike or Steve alluded to that earlier, and that's the greatest, one of the biggest ways that people fall into alcoholism. Also, most of us, and you'll find in rehabs and AA, most of the people that become alcoholics, for some reason or other, don't feel like they really fit in to any particular group. I mean, you can fake it and you can act it, but in your heart and something in side of the pit of your stomach, you feel a comfort from getting just a little bit away from reality by drinking, because for some reason or other in our childhoods, or what many psychologists and psychiatrists think, it begins, and you use I thought a great statement too. I think it was Mike. I know it was Mike or Steve. I'm not sure which one is. You medication against reality. So if you get a few drinks in you, even as a young kid, you start feeling, hey, you're a little looser. You can put the bad memories out of your mind. You can fit in with this crowd of guys that drink, and that's not the answer. So try to stand on your own. And if you feel like you're heading for a problem like that, seek out somebody that's that's been in AA or a pastor or a sponsor. Sponsors are the greatest people in the world because sponsors are the ones that bring along the newcomers to the program. The most important person that walks inside the room of an AA meeting is the very newest person that walks in. That's kind of like our motto too. One of the ways to get yourself cured is to help others. That truly is. You guys mentioned it earlier, and that is so true.
Absolutely.
Mike, what do you have advice that you would like to give to the youth about?
To young people? Well, I think young people, Yolanda, it's a great question because young people are the largest growing demographic in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Wow.
They're starting earlier, and I'll tell you the truth, they're dabbling in stuff that I, as an old head, I'm 30 years in AA, as an old head, they didn't even have around. I can't imagine. And I'll tell you what, when you add some of these other issues to the alcohol, you're speeding up the process. We're seeing people, young people coming in who have totally hit a bottom, who have drinking consequences in careers that are absolutely crazy, and they need help. And so, here we have a local Directions for Youth, and they're a great program. Mary Haven has an adolescent program, but I would echo what Nelson has said. Tell somebody you think you're having problems. Now, hopefully, it's going to be somebody. More than likely, it won't be your family, to be honest with you. But if it is, so be it. But a teacher, guidance counselor, minister, somebody that can say, okay, I don't know what to do, but I will grab your hand, I will take you and help you, because it is a difficult thing to want to get treatment. We believe we should fight it on our own, that we should I don't know, somehow be able to beat this, and it's devastating.
And what when you go to an AA meeting, Steve, what can we expect if you walk in and?
Well, there's two different kinds. Basically, one is called a lead meeting, where a member of AA gets up in front of the meeting and tells their story. They share their experience, strength, and hope. They talk about what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today. What their life was like drinking, and how it's transformed them, and what their life is like today as a result of that. The other kind of meeting is a discussion meeting, and the most common kind is there will be topics. Somebody can bring up a topic, I'm really having a problem with my boss. I don't know how to take this guy. I just get so angry, or I really wanted to drink when I got in that fight with my wife last night. And then everybody gives feedback as to what they would do through their experience, strength, and hope on the same topic.
So you get some help on some of those issues.
Absolutely.
Some support and everything.
Absolutely. And another thing, the people in AA, they want you there. They want to help you, and there is no shame in going to AA, and there should be no apprehension, because when you come into AA, the people there want you there. They really
and everything's
do.
confidential too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So what you say there stays there.
That's absolutely right.
That's great. That is so good. Well, this has been such a wonderful program, and all of you are doing such a beautiful job on. Working with people that are struggling through alcoholism. I'd like to congratulate all of you.
Thank you.
To take my hat off to all for the work that you're doing, and I'd like to invite you back on to talk about some more issues, if we can get this information out as much as we can.
Yeah, glad
to help support our families and support people. I'd like to invite you back on. But listening audience, I want you to, if you're listening on Saturday, I want you to check out the Columbus Black Theater. They're doing their annual program on Saturday. Also coming up on All in Our Family, we're going to have The Enchantments. Oh, do you remember Gloria and the silly little love song? Well, we're going to have them right here on Talktainment Radio. And then there's this other guy that I've been listening to who, his name is Phil Stratton. He's in England. His work, I thought I was listening to Luther Vandross. I said, he's come back. But I mean, I'm not, but I've been playing his songs all while I'm cleaning up my house, and it just makes me so happy to listen to him. But he's going to be on the show on July the 27th, so you just got to tune in to All in Our Family. So I hope that you will listen to All in Our Family. If you have some more shows that you want us to put on, put them on. So call me at Talktainment Radio or email me at allinaourfamily@talktainmentradio.com. I'll see you next week. Love you.